Yeah, so I built it up very thick there, and I'm just in the process of doing that to here as well. And any of the little pit marks I find along the way, I'm filling them up as well. I built it up really thick here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another plate in here as well to sort of go around, continue with this one to go around. And obviously I've added a lot of weld here, so it's quite strong. It looks pretty rough, but it hasn't been ground down yet. Same as this side here. I added a lot of weld. It's a lot more than I need. You can see how thick that is. But it adds a lot of strength to it, and then I'll grind it down to get that chamfer that I'm looking for. And then, you know, there's a few more bits in here that I've got to clean and then get in and weld them correct. I'll build that right out here. You can see it's quite thin. And I did blow through a few times, because obviously it's quite thin here, so I think I will take the time to just add a few bits of fill in these areas. Once I've cleaned it up, I didn't add any rust inhibitor here, so I'll clean this right up with an angle grinder, and then whatever I think's a little thin, I'll fill in. So it's definitely on there now. Like there's a lot of meat there. It's a bit hard to show you right now because of all of the mess, but once it's cleaned down, I'll bring you back and show. But you know, underneath, it hasn't even been touched yet. It's just not even been touched. So that will be all done later on when I flip it over. I've just started attacking this piece now. I got rid of this little, if you can see on the other side, this was sort of stopped about here and it was all rusty. It's pretty dangerous. I kept sort of nicking it with my leg, and I didn't want to cut it off until I needed to, but now that I'm working in that area, I just cut it off, and it's pretty bad, so I'm happy that I did that. I was tempted to just patch around it, but it's pretty bad, so I think, I'm not even sure, I'll probably end up cutting this away as well. But I've kept the original profile line there for now, and then what I'll do is I'll probably either cut a pie wedge and weld that in out of steel. So I'll cut a wedge and weld it right up into there and here, and then all the way around. I mean, you could probably clean this, but I don't, you know, and you can see the thickness of the steel as well. It's not too bad. It's almost the same as this. This one's a little thicker, but it's not too bad. It's definitely still got its integrity, but I mean, all of this stuff is always rusty on the inside. Even this new stuff's got surface rust on it already. But down in here, sorry, down in there, it gets really thin, so I'd have to cut it there and then patch in, and it ends up being more work. So I'm not too sure just yet, but I think what I'll do is get a longer piece and then cut the wedge, but just from the bottom side, and then I won't cut anything on the top, and then I'll just bend it down. So I might cut like pie cuts in it and take this out as well, and then just run it forward to about here. So I might do 2 cuts or 3 cuts and then fold it in on itself and then weld it up. I can always add thickening here. I can add another plate on each weld and then weld that around just to thicken it up. But that's undecided yet. But the main concern for me was just to get this sturdy. Half the problem is this member is really bad, really rusty. So once again, I should have got it sandblasted first. But I just didn't want to lose the integrity of where bits were, because I would have had to have taken basically all of the pieces off of it, cut these away on both sides, and then I would have lost a lot of my reference. So next time I do this, if I ever do another combi, I'll have, you know, some good measurements, because I keep all my measurements, and then I'll just be able to cut away what I need and then throw out the rest and then come back. So the weld is holding up. It's not the best weld, but I really just puddled that in there. That was where I bent it, so I've just added metal in, and I'll just sort of grind the top off that a little bit, just clean it up, and it'll be good. The less I take away, the better, I think. So yeah, continuing on. It definitely starts to look like a bomb site when you start to get into the rust work. Mess gets everywhere, so you try and stay organised, but dust goes everywhere. All the grinder shavings and whatever. But yeah, next order of business is cleaning up in here, and then working out what I'm going to do there. And then once I've done this little bit here, I'm going to go over to this side and tie in that one. And I think I'm just going to leave this. It looks fairly good. There's a bit of a kick in it that has been bent by someone, so I might just leave that for now, because the last part of that, where the bumper bracket is, it's outside. So what I'll do is I'll go and get it and then weld it on there, and then I'll be able to work out how much I've got to bend it. And then I'll get these done here and here, and then probably just go to town cleaning all of that, and then just throw some rust converter over the whole thing, and then I'll just throw some primer on there, etch primer, and yeah, go from there. So what I'll do then is I'll start on the front end. I'll flip this around and then set it up on its levels again, and then bring the front end in and then start working on that. I'll probably have to just sit the front end on top upside down for probably a week, and work on it, because it's a whole nother beast. It's got a lot of different pieces and what have you, and most of it's rust, so I'll probably spend a lot of time making patterns, putting them aside, and then start cutting away what I don't need, and then try and get it on there. Or I can just sort of fix it on, sort of like what I've done here with these two temporary supports. They'll come off pretty soon now that I've done this one. Once I've done this one, they'll come off, but I'll use something similar to that. This is just another option, and then get the front end on there, and then sort of tack it, you know, in 4 or 5 spots to hold it in place so I can get it right, and then start taking away all of the bad stuff.